Make a choice to begin anywhere in your life, and the next chapter of your journey has begun. And along the way, be open to being inspired. Listen to the conversations led by Dr. Wayne A.I. Frederick, Howard University Interim President, President Emeritus, and Charles R. Drew, Professor of Surgery, on The Journey.
Welcome to The Journey. I'm Dr. Wayne A.I. Frederick, Interim President of Howard University. Howard University has always been a place where brilliance meets purpose, where intellectual curiosity, innovation, and commitment to service converge. Across our campus, as a Research One university, our faculty and students are developing breakthrough ideas and research that not only advance their fields, but help shape a stronger, more equitable society. Today, I'm joined by three members of our research community whose work captures the spirit of discovery. Dr. Gloria Washington, a leading researcher in artificial intelligence and human-centered computing, Howard alumnus and current PhD student Christopher Watson, who is helping drive national STEM opportunity and innovation, and Howard University student Nina Traham, whose academic journey illustrates the transformative power of research engagement. Together, we'll explore how Howard is cultivating new knowledge, expanding innovation, and preparing the next generation of leaders and creators. Thank you for joining us and for supporting Howard's commitment to research excellence. Let's begin the conversation. So first, let me start with you, Dr. Washington. We've had some interaction around a couple of projects, including Howard West. And I'm just curious, when you look at the impact of research today, in particular on the lives of communities of color. We think of research, and oftentimes we think of mainstream things that are happening that affect a certain segment of our society. But speak to the issue around research as it impacts people of color in particular.
Yeah, so I believe that Howard University has always created the next best STEM technologists, and my research sort of looks at how we are creating these STEM technologists and these new innovation of AI. So I believe that those can transform into our research opportunities, how we can leverage and the world can leverage our experience to understand, hey, Howard has been doing great to create STEM personnel, and industry, government as well can also leverage Howard's input to create this next workforce of any caliber.
And so, Mr. Watson, you exemplify exactly that type of product that Dr. Washington was speaking to. Tell us a little bit about your journey. What brought you to Howard? How you heard about Howard, and what impact did it have on your STEM journey?
Sure. I started as a computer science educator. My journey is a little different, coming from a physical education and health background and degree. My transition to computer science was non-traditional. Went back to school to get my software engineering degree. Shortly after that, I met Dr. Washington, and we just had a great discussion on the stuff that she was doing at Howard. And I have a huge passion towards technology, and I wanted to continue to advance technology and have my input on the table. So that led me to join Howard in my PhD journey.
And since you've been here, maybe you could talk a little bit about what you've been working on, and what do you see in the future as you work towards that PhD and beyond it?
Sure. So underneath Dr. Washington and our ONR sponsor, I'm working on technology, a large language model to assist with tactical decision making. So some of the notes I have here, it's using a retrieval augmented generation with historical text. So we're able to take a lot of previous training technology and input this into a large language model, a ChatGPT-like model, and combine that with an XR so that you can view your decision making in real time, and it helps to It helps to better understand real-time stress and reduce decision-making cognition load. So it helps to lead less stress and memory overload. So using this technology will enable warfighters to just be more prepared in the field and be more informed using the latest and greatest AI technology.
That's fantastic. I know you have a HCAI at Howard project, which is grounded in creating responsible AI solutions. Some of the work that Mr. Washington was speaking to. Maybe you could expand on what was the origin of this project and how it's funded and what's the future of the project.
Yeah, so the Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence Institute at Howard University is a $9 million project that was funded through the Office of Naval Research, not only to explore how we can create warfighters, soldiers, and also civilian workforce that can come to the Navy and their research organizations to participate in these advanced skills like AI, technology, and innovation. So we are learning and studying how to create the next best decision-making tool for them. So intelligence analysts get all kinds of information, and a lot of this information they have to quickly act for decision-making purposes. So we wanted to provide to them training that they can also utilize with understanding how can you make the best decision, you'll be in a stressful condition, and then how can you combine all the information and visualize it to the public and in front of them through augmented reality technology. So we think that not only will this translate to our HBCU students, like across the board and globally, and then we think that the curriculum that we're developing will be used for everybody, for discerning ChatGPT-like output, and then also how can we protect the actual user from nefarious uses of this technology.
Now, one of the things that obviously is in the public domain today around AI is the cultural sensitivity. Are we building models that are adaptable, that have input, that will be applicable to persons of color? And so with that, you also have another project, Elevate Black Voices. So maybe you tell us about that, and then I'll move to Mr. Watson to probably elaborate on how are we filling the gaps in the pipeline. Because it's one thing to have the technology that could apply to people of color, but are we getting enough people of color into that pipeline?
Yeah, so Project Elevate Black Voices began almost 5 years ago during the pandemic, and Google had reached out to me to do research with understanding how automatic speech recognition fails when it comes to persons that speak African American English and dialects, that basically they didn't have a large-scale data set of this. So we embarked on first creating this large-scale data set of African American English dialects. We went around the country and collected little-known dialects south. We went to Mississippi, Alabama,
South Carolina,
yeah,
I would assume, right?
So all of them, like, and then we wanted to see how this could be transformed into AI, not only for us, but for the larger HBCU community, because we have always been speaking African American English, and we need to protect it and safeguard it and celebrate it. So we are embarking on creating a data consortium that looks at safely innovating with AI for usage of African American English. So we are involving people like researchers at Morehouse and Spelman, stuff like that. So this translates into Chris's project because we wanted to provide a spoken large language model where a person could ask questions to the ChatGPT-like interface, and it would spit out output. However, we was like, oh gosh, we don't have a tactical command database, and we don't know how it is going to translate to these voice assistant technologies. So we had to think about at a base level, let's think about translating into a ChatGPT, and then we'll spit out text-based output, and then you can ask questions to it. So we're thinking about at a base level educating and training people to understand how to utilize these technologies and how they can safeguard and protect.
So I'm fascinated by this because, one, it has a cultural significance and application, but I'm very curious as I think of a student in high school today who probably has come across an issue that they see this fitting. And you had a very non-traditional path to here to do your PhD. What are your thoughts about the pipeline and how we fill the pipeline with enough young technologists that would give us the type of experience, the type of information, and influence, obviously, the outputs?
I think it's important to have a large representation. We need a seat at the table in order to make those decisions. And I think by having these structures in place at Howard to facilitate that, and other schools across the country, but specifically Howard, it enables that access to people like me, to people who look like me. And it's important to have that because we don't want everyone who's building these technologies to look and think the same. So we want a big scope of experience, lived experiences to go into this technology.
And so with that in mind, you've focused a lot on the HBCUs, on building a consortium, on getting the HBCUs to put their inputs together. And the more I interact with my colleagues, the other presidents of the other HBCUs, there's a lot of concern about which large language models they use and who's going to have access to it and how much of it is going to be proprietary versus, maybe you can speak a bit to that. And so one thing is us developing the technology, but how good are we at sharing it amongst ourselves and also protecting it?
Yeah, so if we think about Project Elevate Black Voices, like we provided a base level contract with our HBCU partners that they could utilize the data if and only if it is protected from these models like ChatGPT's, their 5 model, or OpenAI's open source model. The reason being is that if they utilize our data, automatically the model will be updated with our data, and that is protected IP. So we have several projects in the works right now with other HBCUs, but we're studying how to protect it and then how to innovate and create our own large language models so we can be the ChatGPTs. So when you think about Chris's project, that is an example of our own innovation being created and that IP being transformed to Howard University and then also to the larger HBCU and Black community. Because not only with the IP protecting it, we need to learn how to leverage it for sustaining our institutions and sustaining our communities around Howard.
And I love the focus on the intellectual property and trying to keep that, the IP. With that in mind, Christopher, we have to interact with companies and partner with them. How do you see those industry partnerships fueling this work and getting us to where we need to be in order to have the influence you guys are hoping to have?
I think it starts with our mission critical partners. It's an industry that is already close knit and it's eyes only on a lot of certain things. So doing what we can do with the spaces that we can create is an easy place to start. Taking what we have and then providing that give and take relationship with our sponsors and then having their recommendations on where else can this go would probably be the place I would say.
And how open are sponsors to that feedback? Sponsors show up, they have a sense of what they want out of the relationship. Oftentimes, they're very clear, I might even say, if not, probably a little overly enthusiastic. How are you balancing making sure that we get what we want as well, but with the fact that we need, as you said, mission critical aspects or mission critical sponsorship in order to get it done?
So if we think about Project Elevate Black Voices, that was a collaboration with Google. And we came to the table with our Howard lawyers to protect us and say, hey, we need to own solely this IP, and we copyrighted it, and then any IP that is generated from the actual data set, from the large language models, and then we have in the works like a automatic transcription tool that we're creating with undergraduates and then also graduate students. But we came to the table with, these are the uses that could potentially harm Black people and the larger HBCU community, and provided them in this discussion of, hey, we are thinking about these things and we don't want to throw our communities underneath the bus, because we are a representation of this data set and the innovations that are being created. So with everything now, we're approaching it with that mindset. How can we use the data, and then how can we eventually capitalize on it for the larger HBCU community? Because it's wonderful that we have R1, but we need to keep R1, and then also we need to show the community around Howard and our students that they can be tech creators and founders. You can't just be a worker. It's okay to be a worker, but you can also create the next best thing, and this is a Howard kind of focus of like mindset that we take on of all of our research.
Well, one of the things that you just mentioned was protecting the community, not having the community fall under the proverbial bus, as you say. What are some of the dangers that aren't obvious, I think, to the general community, or to, for that matter, to communities of color, when we discuss issues like this? Are we overly protectionist in this circumstance, or are there significant concerns that we should, and if so, what are they?
Well, traditionally, if we look at even historically, tech companies haven't always had the best relationship with protecting Black people, Black and brown people. So some of the things that we encountered with Project Elevate Black Voices, hey, going into the community, and we're an all-Black team, and taking on all that comes with that. Like people have said that, oh, how are you going to use this data? And if you're only going to use it to produce for Google. And we had to communicate at the very start, no, this is all of us. You are involved in the conversation at the very start. And there's another technology that is, I guess, making its round in social media spaces, so deep fake technology for AI-generated voices, and we're actively pursuing research surrounding that, not only with Office of Naval Research, because with the technology that Chris is creating, it's a possibility that the commands that come out could be AI generated. So he is actively also trying to understand how to prevent that. And we have undergraduate students that are also working on this large-scale project. So we're thinking about all the things that could happen, and hopefully preparing for the future.
So, Mr. Watson, just to piggyback on that, you've taken a different route, but you have a very heavy interest in entrepreneurship and STEM. For the Howard students or the people out in the community who will eventually get here to Howard, what's your advice to them about what they should be pursuing and how they should focus on getting into the situation that you're now in?
First of all, it's possible. Remove the doubt from the situation, because if you want it enough, and this goes for any space, if you want it enough, you will find a way. So I say, from my experience, I found a way. I made it happen. So what I would say to the next generation is, you have to make it happen and you have to want it. So surround yourself with people that are like-minded, and then find mentors like Dr. Washington that will guide you along the way. And then once you get yourself in that space, do everything you absolutely can to achieve, everything that you wanted and more.
And now I want to welcome Nia Trinham, class of 2026, undergraduate computer science major, to join our conversation. So let me ask you a couple of things. One is, tell me a little bit about your journey to Howard. What brought you here and why computer science?
Yeah. So both of my parents are HBCU grads. My dad went to Hampton. My mother went to Hampton and graduated from Norfolk State. And so they always instilled in me that I should go to an HBCU and they would not be paying if I did not go to an HBCU. And I remember, I think it was the summer before I graduated, I did a road trip across the states to go to different HBCUs. And I came to Howard and I was like, oh, this is the one. And so the reason why I got into computer science specifically was because growing up, I'm a huge gamer, and growing up I played lots of video games like Tomb Raider or GTA. And so I remember playing these games and never really seeing heroes and heroines that look like me, specifically black women. And so I wanted to change that. And so coming to Howard was about, and going into computer science was about, number one, becoming a game developer or a game designer or producer. And then number two was about starting my own company, eventually showcasing off black women, black girl magic, and just blackness in general. Yeah.
And so why research? At the undergraduate level, students tend to be focused on really just acquiring the technical knowledge in a particular field. What do you think your research experience has lent to you? And maybe you could talk a little bit about the research you've been doing.
Yeah. So I currently am working on the ONR project for XR, AR, and VR for tactical decision making. And so the reason why I got into research was because I believe research is important. I wanted to gain experience. And then in addition to that, I wanted to expand the way I do research, the way I see users, and how that impacts different people. And so the work I've been doing on the AR, XR, AR, VR team is more around design, user interfaces, and then also simulations too. So hopefully we can put in simulations, and then when we go into that, more around like what is it going to look like, how are we going to show people, and also how can we create a design that is user focused and that accounts for other people's disabilities and things that they may not have.
So I guess what interests me about this too, Dr. Washington, is you guys are touching on so many different things. I mean, it seems like a little bit of cognitive neuroscience, some computing, psychology, in terms of, kind of how people interpret and think about things. Are you using a wide variety of your colleagues from different areas to get these projects done?
Yeah, so the HCAI Institute at Howard, basically we have a direct focus to create interdisciplinary research. So we have tapped into Dr. Pritchard in biology for the cognitive neuroscience, psychology, Deshawn Mance. She helps think about all the mental health issues or how a person processes information. So we have tapped in to leverage even the College of Medicine from another project with Dr. Danielle Hurston with psychiatry. So there's all these aspects being a human-centered computing researcher. We're not the focus. It's all about leveraging the disciplines that are outside of ourselves to develop the designs and basically incorporating everything. So we have to tap into that to be successful.
So Nia, I'm fascinated by your taking your gaming experience and wanting to almost see yourself inserted into it. What advice do you give for that 10-year-old girl who's going to, hear this, listen to this? What should she be thinking about, and why a journey through computer science?
Yeah. So I'd say number one, start coding. It's extremely important. I think number two is start asking people around you about math. Math is extremely important in game development. And then understanding what your passion is. I think if you have a passion for it, then you have to do it. And so that's something I would say to my younger self, yeah.
As you look to your future, we're in an economy, in a society now where we're talking a lot about skill-based training. And people are not necessarily promoting, including in these fields, as technical as what you both are describing may sound, really having you pursue a college degree. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that, number one, not everything will be at your hand and at your fingertips. It's your own job to go find it. But number two, also to talk to people about what you want and what you're trying to do. I think that when you talk to other people, you'll find that there's so many opportunities to do those things. Even being here at Howard, talking with Dr. Washington, I've been able to do things within understanding design, XR, AR, VR, and that's helped me even within gaming because it does require you to know how to code in certain applications. So I'd say asking those around you, like learning for yourself, but also like just being a strong advocate. And then once you advocate for yourself, you will see that return.
You know, Dr. Washington, I'm going all the way back to Howard West and kind of my vision then to try to just get us involved in a way. I was very concerned about can our students get hired, but more importantly, I also wanted the faculty to, you know, see things and to be exposed with Googlers in a way that would empower them all the way to where we are today. And you're still involving students heavily in what you're doing, which I certainly admire. What's your advice for those students who are coming up today, filling that pipeline? What would you like to see them do and focus on?
So I say this in every class. So like from a human-computer interaction to a software development, that they can be involved at the consumer level. Yes, you can get a job in tech, but you also can create jobs within your community for your student groups for these next big things that people aren't thinking about. So if I'm an older individual, I'm not thinking about the new and best things as it relates to your generation, and they have wonderful ideas. So in the classes like senior project or software development, I encourage my students to think about the problem that they want to solve and then think about only themselves of how they would implement it at a business level. And then if they want to go to get a job at Google, Facebook, they have the skills, but they don't have to. That will provide them any opportunity that I can't even give.
I love that. So as we close, the daughter of a Hampton grad and a Hampton attendee who graduated from Norfolk State, making Howard a decision that's tough in your household. So for our audience, why Howard?
I chose Howard because it's a pillar of Black excellence. It also has a career path that I never thought I'd be able to take and has lots of opportunities. And then I also chose Howard because it has a great computer science program. I have learned so much. I've actually been able to get in the door of the gaming industry through interning at EA. And so I knew it was going to provide me opportunities that I would not see anywhere else. And then the warmth I got from meeting other people, and specifically talking to Dr. Rubai, who is, I think, our department chair, really inspired me to go here and what made the decision so much easier.
Excellent. As we close this conversation, I want to thank my guests for joining me as we discussed how Howard is cultivating new knowledge, expanding innovation, and preparing the next generation of leaders and creators. I'm Dr. Wayne Frederick. Thanks for joining me on this episode of The Journey.
This program was produced by WHUT and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. For more information on this program or any other program, please visit our website at WHUT.org. Thank you.